Hey traders, I'm Matt.
Hold
He's
up, Matt.
JC.
Hold up. Hey guys, I'm JC. I've been noticing that Matt comes in with a ton of energy, and then I just come follow it up, just like, yeah. It's just where we use the VWAP, right? So we're gonna change it up a little bit. I'm gonna introduce us
All
with
right.
my just standard, what is that, Ben Stein monotone energy that I
Okay.
have here. And then Matt's going to come through it and punch us right in the face and get us motivated. So yeah, my name is JC. This is my friend Matt over here. He's one of these directions. This is my friend Matt, and we're Empire Algorithmic Trading, and today is Vwapvision's daily stock market analysis. And so, what is that, Matt? What do we do?
It's where we use the VWAP or the volume weighted average price to assess the market and a few different charts that are going on, and that's it. It is the best indicator out there, and that's why we use it.
All right, man. I love the energy. I love the energy, man. All right, well, as I always say, let's get to it, shall we?
Here's Stock Talk.
Stock talk. Hey, Matt, happy Monday. And what a Monday it was.
Right?
It was good. It was a nice strong price rally. It's exactly what we were hoping to see. We wanted to see a test of the all-time VWAP, which is what we're working there. It was really exciting to see a lot of stocks move above their VWAPs. It's a little bit sooner than I thought we would see that, particularly where some of them were. However, there's some leaders that are showing some very serious strength. So let's just look at some charts.
I almost don't believe you just because it seems like every Monday for the past 2 months we've gotten on here and been like, well, all of the hope we had going into the weekend completely went out the door. So,
Right. Yeah. Well, that's going to happen in a couple of days, I think. So it wouldn't surprise me. So it was a strong session. The S&P 500 was up 1.76%. The Nasdaq Composite was up 2.27%. As you can see, it just rolled right to its upper resistance VWAP. It's still below a couple of important VWAPs. We've got the high of this most recent downturn, which is about 18,500, and its all-time VWAP is well over 19,000. So we still have some room to work. We're at 18,188 on the Nasdaq. The S&P is in a slightly better shape, right? It's above its resistance VWAP, where it was kind of running into a wall last week. Blasted above that today.
hey,
It's right below its all-time high VWAP, which is around 5,800, and the S&P is currently trading at 5,767. The big downer about this whole session is the volume, right? It's not a good volume day. Now, obviously, Friday's volume of triple witching, quadruple witching, I think it was witching, drove volume up, but it was still a very lackluster. It's just kind of ho hum with what we've been seeing over the past couple of weeks. Barely topped last Thursday's volume. So, if for something like this, we want to see a little bit more conviction overall.
yeah.
There were some pretty outsized moves in some stocks, which we'll get to, which are heavily influence these indexes, which is why we're seeing that. However, the small caps broke out above their VWAP that they were finding resistance at.
Finally.
Finally, right? And the mid
Yeah.
caps. So what we're seeing here with the mid caps and the small caps is a series of higher highs, and then now we have a series of lower lows. So this is a budding little uptrend that we got going on in both the mid caps and the small caps. However, like we said, if you look at the ETFs as a lead, volume is rather lackluster. Today's volume
Hmm.
on both ETFs was well below average, not the price volume action you want to see. Price always pays. Price is what we're paying attention to. Like I always say, volume just gives you the confidence in what you're seeing. And right now, we're not seeing that. The other worrisome part that I'm a little normally it happens this way. The stocks go up and bonds tend to go down as money comes out of stocks. But I just don't want to see bonds sell off here. So we're going to watch that closely. We're still well above the VWAP on IEF on the 7 to 10 year Treasury bond fund. Again, I've used this as an indicator of when this starts living below its VWAP, that spells bad news for equities. So that's why we follow this particularly. As far as today, let's take a look at some really good moves.
All right.
A very popular stock today was Tesla. It was up 11.9%, off rallying right off of its low, right off of its VWAP from its all-time high back in when is this? 2021? Yeah, November of 21. So if you
Wow.
take the volume weighted average price, it's right under 250. The stock sold off hard and just found a floor there. So there's some buyers at that point. However,
Jace,
it's
that's not a floor, Jace. That's a trampoline, is what that looks like.
That is amazing. That is brilliant. I love it because there's a lot of stocks that are sitting right on their trampolines, and we're seeing some stocks just shoot right off of them. So, yeah, that was excellent, man. I like that. So speaking of one of those is Carvana. So as opposed to Tesla, which sold off Wicked and is still sitting way below its VWAP, Carvana surprisingly is right back above it. Now Carvana is an interesting little chart pattern here. It's got some work to do. I've been looking at some previous charts and a lot of these really fast moves down on extended stocks like this. The first move up generally gets punished, right? It
Okay.
generally runs into some selling pressure. So we're in the first stages. It's just really exciting to finally see a little bit of buying action come into play. And if I remember Carvana, no, it was a little bit lighter. There are some pretty good volume moves, which we will look at a little bit. But again, there's that perfect trampoline of what you were talking about.
Yeah.
Same thing with Applovin. It bounced right off of its VWAP there, and then it's shooting up a little bit. Robinhood, same thing, bouncing off its VWAP. It's shooting. It actually had higher volume than Friday, which is a very good sign.
Wow.
That's what we want to see.
Yeah.
Road Construction Partners. This one is just making a move. I'm following this one. This one was a long time leader, and we're starting to see a lot of these leaders from last year that kind of topped out in November and December are starting to find some support at some VWAPs, and they're going to start building some bases. So, going to keep a close eye on that one. Same thing with Comfort Fix. It's really close to its VWAP. Dutch Brothers quickly approaching its VWAP. A lot of them are
Oh
moving a
yeah.
lot faster. That's a wicked bounce right off of its VWAP
And it
there.
looks like pretty decent volume for that, or did I miss that?
Oh no, no, that's a really good volume day for Dutch Brothers. That's exactly what you're looking for. You want to see bigger volume on strong up days. 7.6% gap up, right up towards resistance is exactly what we're looking for.
Yeah.
Idaho Strategic Resources, let's get our chart there, actually broke out last week. It's an interesting little breakout. It's deep in its base. It's probably going to start forming the right side, but it's trading above its all-time high VWAP. So on a VWAP relative basis, it is literally trading in new all-time high territory already.
Wow.
Even though the stock technically is still about 5 points below its price all-time high, on a relative basis, for every shareholder that has held this stock on average is now making money. So that just
Huh.
portends that it's just going to continue to move higher.
Yep.
Same thing with Dave. A really nice, strong rebound on Dave. Good support at its previous low. It's held this strong gap up. It broke out down here for us last year in November at about $53 a share. It gapped up huge, and then it just kind of bounced around a little bit. Tried to break out again last, was that January during the green zone. We made a nice little profit on it. Sold off hard, but it's finding support at a couple of important places. The previous gap up, as well as some long-term VWAPs. And it's back above its all-time high VWAP as well. So again,
All right.
stocks are hitting all-time highs already on a relative basis, and that's what we look for. And then our
Yeah.
Palantir, right? One we talked
Hey,
about for our Patreon subscribers yesterday, it's back above its all-time high. I want to talk a little bit about Genie here, Genius Sports. This is an interesting pattern. It's clearing its all-time high VWAP there. This is a really cool one to look at. So it tried to break out a couple of times above its VWAP, which is this upper line here, just a little bit above 9. So it tried breaking out just with one day, sold off a little bit, tried again with 3 days, which would have triggered a buy signal for us, quickly reversed, and it sold off all the way down right into its all-time high VWAP. Found some support and then just boom, got right back above the upper VWAP, which was a little over 9 on a big spike in volume. And it stayed there. It just started living and it started finding a little bit of support. It started making higher lows and a little bit of lower highs. And you get that wedging pattern, especially when volume starts to dry up a little bit, you tend to see a nice pop. And that's exactly
Yeah.
what we're seeing here in Genie. I'm a little disappointed we didn't find it until last week. It would have been nice to have this ahead of time. But as it is, it broke out last Friday and a really nice solid 6% follow through today.
Wow.
Its compatriot, Sports Radar, kind of a similar pattern. It found support at a VWAP from a previous sell signal, and it's starting to break out into new all-time high territory as well. So a couple of really good examples of what leaders actually look like. Instead of Tesla that's finding support at a long-time VWAP that up big, made the averages move big, but it's really not a leader right now. These are the leaders that we're showing you right here. TrueBridge, another example, a really nice tight flag here. Massive gain from just over 10 all the way up to 30, and then it just
Wow.
went sideways, and it's starting to break
Yeah.
out of that pattern. You've got a clear downtrend, and then you're starting to see a little bit of higher lows, and it's starting to bust up a little bit. So pretty exciting there. Same thing with Shopify. Shopify is back above its VWAP. This one's interesting as well. It did undercut its previous lows, which the old school way of reading charts is it just resets the base count. So this would technically be considered a first stage base, which is a bullish sign. And then GE Vernova, kind of a similar pattern with GE. It had that sideways flag here back in November to December, broke out. It ran up a pretty good number, about 30% in about 3 weeks, which is a heck of a run. Take some
Yeah.
profits on that. It sold off hard, gapped right back down to its base, found some support at its all-time VWAP, and like you said, it's trampolining right off of it. It's just touch
Yeah.
and go, and it's racing right up above. So it's not going to surprise me at all if basically 1 out of 5. So if two of these stocks are just going to keep going, the rest are
Sure.
going to start capitulating and coming back. But two of them, they're just not going to touch this ever again. So
Huh.
what two or anybody's guess, right? But just statistically, just from math and just probabilities, a couple of these are just going to just keep racing. The other
Could be our
one that
new
I really
leaders.
the other one I really liked was Corning. This one
Hmm.
is back above its VWAP as well, and kind of a similar pattern. What we're seeing, they rallied up hard, traded sideways, tried to break out. The correction knocked them right back down. They undercut their previous low, and now they're right back at their all-time highs. So those are the bullish ones. These are the ones that we want to see. The prudent person in me is saying just we're not in a red zone, just chill. Now we're still in a red zone, excuse me, we're not in a green zone. And now we literally could be in a green zone by Wednesday, right? If we get two more good up days or even
Yeah.
by Thursday, right? So we might be on track for that. But it's difficult. It's hard to not be chopping your lip, chopping at the bit. Like, come on, man, let's go, let's go. We've got this great
Right.
setup. We've got the knowledge. We know what we're doing. All we need to do is just apply it appropriately, and we're going to make some pretty serious cash. So I'm really excited. This is really good, but we're not there yet, right? The volume is a concern.
Yep.
We still have the headwinds. I do believe there's some global allocation going on, and it very well could see the strength that we're seeing. Very well could be a selling opportunity for a lot of the international funds to start repatriating some of that money because they might have gotten caught and now they're going to use this strength to start selling into. So there is some issues, right? We're still below the VWAP. We still have some resistance. The Nasdaq still has some pretty significant resistance. We do have
Right.
multiples. You have tariff by whims. The only good news with that is eventually the market's just going to tune Trump out. Especially when he's on again, off again. Oh, I got flexibility. Oh, I'm going to add more. Oh, I'm not going to do it with these guys. I'm going to do it with these guys. The market's just going to be like, whatever, asshole. Let's just take care of our own business. So,
Well, and I think basically we're out of the all or nothing hard 100% going to be a numbered tariff to we're going to work and kind of dice that up and decide on each individual one and blah blah blah. So I think that is going to provide a lot more stability too. Is there's that easing of the yes no, and now it's a well, even if it's a yes, it's not a definite hard everything yes.
yeah, I don't know. I think that's too kind. I think they're trying to build the airplane as they fly, and they're just trying to go the whims of the president, right? And you have professionals that are trying to make sense of his daily moods. And, like I said, eventually it's just not whatever he says is just going to get tuned out. Right. And so, at least that's my hope, right? And it will. It's probably if he keeps on this path, it is going to happen. We're starting to see it happen, right? Otherwise, the market wouldn't be rallying like this. So there are, like I said, there are some headwinds, but it was a very exciting day. And then finally, this was just a trip. I'm going through all the stocks and I'm going through our watch list, and then all of a sudden I come across this stock, and I come across this stock, and I was like, wait a minute, was that the same stock? And that's Goldman Sachs, and that's JP Morgan. And that's Goldman Sachs, and that's JP Morgan. And for our Spotify, they're exactly the same. Goldman Sachs went up 2.65% today. JP Morgan went up 2.66% today. They
It's not
both
just today,
rallied.
though. Look at
Uh,
that. That is an extended mirrored pattern. Like,
I mean,
serious.
it's uncanny. Goldman Sachs gapped up big time on November 6th. JP Morgan gapped up big time on November 6th, right? Goldman Sachs or JP Morgan topped out on February 18th. Goldman Sachs topped out on February 18th. So, I mean, you could almost, they traced each other. It's pretty wild. So,
Exactly.
it
Exactly.
was a pretty exciting session. Fortunately, I mean, we're still early in this thing, right?
Yep.
It's fun to get excited. It's fun to see prices go up.
Yep.
It's good to see the potential that we're starting to see some bids here, but we're not out of the woods yet. So we still have to be patient, and we'll just take them as they come. If we start getting buy signals, regardless of whether or not I think it's legit, or regardless of whether or not they're going to sell off, the math is the math, right? The market is the market. We gotta. This is why we built this system, is so we can just follow the price and the volume, unemotional. We don't have to think about it. Try to keep all the context out. Just look at the math and see what the market is telling us. And right now, the market is telling us it's making higher highs, higher lows, and we've got just a mini little uptrend. We're just trending right into resistance. What's important
Yep.
is what happens after that. And I feel like
Yep.
we've been saying this for like the past 3 weeks, is the market's at a pivotal point. But that's because it is. We're not in a trend, except for a downtrend. We kind of have a little mini counter trend going here. Whether or not that lasts is the billion-dollar question, quite literally. But it's, I was thinking about it a little bit earlier today too, and somewhat a little bit last night. I was kind of looking at some long-term charts, and we just haven't really had a good environment since basically November. I mean, September through mid-November last year was pretty good. There were a lot. I mean, it was almost to the point of when you were picking breakouts, it wasn't which one was going to fail. It was which one's going to go up more. And so you kind of got mad if the one you bought went up 4% and the one you passed on went up 8, right? Whereas since November, it's been kind of the opposite, right? Like I'm going to buy these two, and which one's going to fail? And so we haven't had an easy money, a good trending market for about 5 months, and so that's long enough, man. I'm ready to go. I want to get back to it. So it's just a matter of time before that happens. When it happens, it's just going to be, like I said, it's going to be which one goes up faster. And we're
Yep.
working on that. We're doing some studies. I'm working hard on narrowing down the setups. I did want to, when I first started building this model, the whole idea was let's just make it simple so there's no setups. But through studies, I am finding that there are some similar patterns that we are seeing, that some really good winners, and then some patterns that we're just kind of ho hum, and they maybe go up 4 or 5% and then kind of roll back over again. We want to catch those that go up 8 to 10 to 20 or
Yeah.
more in a couple of weeks. So that's what we're looking for, and so that's what we're working on, and we're going to come out with some of those, and we'll put those videos out for our Patreon subscribers, and just kind of show everybody these are some of the patterns that have worked in the past, and they've worked over and over and over again, and this is how we can utilize the VWAPs on top of that. So I'm very excited. I'm very excited for that. Very excited for the next stage of this market. Just tune everything out, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show, man.
It's going to be such a fun thing. And like you said, the hard part is we start to see all of these like potential breakouts and we see all these stocks starting to run. But the beautiful thing about our algorithm is we catch those prior to the full market flipping. Like that's kind of the whole point of the algorithm. So we start to see those headwinds, we start to see that, and we can prepare ourselves. It doesn't mean jump in at the exact moment that it switches, but it means, hey, we're starting to notice some good things coming down the pipeline. Be ready to go.
Yeah, exactly. Just like we started seeing a lot of sell-offs, a lot of failures, uh, there were more and more stocks not following through, right? And then there were more and more outright failures. As we started seeing that play out over time, the market started slowly rolling over. Now we're starting to see the opposite. We're starting to see stocks start to show some life. We want to see some breakouts succeed. Our recent breakouts for this red zone have actually held up remarkably well. It's kind of surprising somewhat. So that is a bullish sign in its own. So that's what they do. That's what leading stocks do. Leading stocks lead, and so that's what we're starting to see. That's what we're seeing in a lot of these stocks that we showed you today. So that's what's getting me a little bit excited. But overall, we're not there yet. So we still have to be a little bit of patient. Let the market come to us. We don't need to chase it. We don't need to do anything. We just need to let the setups happen, let the trends get established, and then we roll on those trends. So very excited, Matt.
And guys, for those of you that are following on Spotify, listening on Spotify, or watching us on YouTube, hit that like and subscribe button. And if you want access to what we're talking about, to all these daily buy and sell signals, to our market zones, green, red, subscribe to us on Patreon, patreon.com/Empire Algorithmic Trading. And that's where you can see all of that. Plus, we are slowly releasing some educational videos in there for those who aren't exactly sure what to do when it comes to the stock market. What is this big scary thing that I can possibly make or lose all my money in? We want to help kind of show what we've learned throughout our processes, and that's all available again on Patreon. Uh, Otherwise, follow us on social media: Facebook, Instagram, X, Blue Sky. We're all there. And if you want more information about who we are and what we're doing with this model in particular, go to our website, Vwapvision.com. That's VWAPvision.com. And you can find out more about us.
All right, Matt. Well said. And as always, happy trading.
Happy trading, Jace. I'll see you soon for Arrow Review.
Arrow review. All right, bud. Talk to you soon.